The case, known as Red Sister or Sister Hunt, as it was named by users on social media, broke out when a fitness influencer discovered that intimate images of himself were circulating on the internet. After publicly reporting the incident, he said, "My life is a mess. I'm considering leaving Nanjing for another city." That was just the tip of the iceberg in an even more sordid case. According to reports, a man was pretending to be a woman on social platforms, seducing men, recording the sexual encounters without their consent, and then selling the material online. The matter generated a strong media reaction and led to an unprecedented police investigation. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In a context increasingly defined by hyperconnectivity and virtual identity, what happened with Sister Hong shook China and the rest of the world due to its unusual and disturbing dimensions. There was not only a great impact because of the number of victims involved, but also because of the systematic use of technology to manipulate perception. Erasing the boundaries between what is real and what is fictional, and building a completely false identity that turned out to be functional to an exploitation machine. Chinese authorities are proceeding with the investigation, and the accused faces charges for multiple crimes, from abuse to potential public health offenses. The case has sparked an intense debate about digital consent, masculinity in crisis, the culture of shame, and the role of social media in the public exposure of intimacy. The scandal that unfolds is not just a bizarre police file, it's also an uncomfortable mirror of our vulnerabilities in the age of appearances. Welcome to the dark case of Sister Hong. Before we proceed, know that this report is in a new section discussing today's most prominent cases. Keep in mind that we are simultaneously launching long-form specials, revisiting classic cases with fresh perspectives and theories. You can also leave suggestions for that format. We read them, and now let's get started. Who was the Red Sister? Behind the enigmatic figure known as the Red Sister, there was a 38-year-old man named Yao. His transformation was complete. Wigs, makeup, women's clothing, voice modulation, and absolute mastery of filters and technology to alter his image on social media. This way he built a convincing avatar that seduced hundreds of men. The individual claimed to be a married woman seeking extramarital adventures. This fueled the fetish of many people online, who quickly got in touch to arrange a date. But it wasn't just an emotional deception. Instead of asking for cash, the impostor requested gifts like appliances, food, or household products. His excuse was always the same: he couldn't accept money directly. The victims were extremely diverse: students, college students, gym workers, office workers, even tourists. Some local media described those involved as attractive and well-dressed men, using popular terms like "little fresh meat," an expression that refers to young, handsome, or high-class heterosexual men. The victims discovered when meeting face-to-face that Jiao was not a woman. While some chose to grab their things and run, others decided to continue with the date, arguing that, after all, they were already there. Many men returned repeatedly, thinking they had a genuine connection with Sister Hong. What no one knew until many months later was that everyone, without exception, was part of a catalog of non-consensual sexual content. A catalog that was being sold as digital merchandise. Yes, that's what you're hearing. In each encounter, Yao covertly recorded the sexual acts without his guests' knowledge. Then, the content was posted in a private group that he managed himself and which could only be accessed through a paid membership. According to Chinese media, the subscription cost around 150 yuan, which is equivalent to about 18 euros. When this came to light, the agents quickly tracked down the creator of this entire scam. Sister Hong is arrested. According to Reuters, Zhao was captured by the authorities on July 5th and was quickly charged with distributing obscene material. It is important to note that since 2021, Chinese law considers it illegal to record sexual activities without consent, in accordance with the Personal Data Protection Law. Ideally, the issue should have been handled with caution, especially to preserve the integrity of those who had fallen for the deception. However, the number of recordings and people involved turned everything into a viral phenomenon on Chinese social media. Although at first there were reports of more than 1,600 victims, the authorities denied these figures and stated that the number of people affected did not exceed 300. It still hasn't been determined whether Yao forced some people to have relations with him, which hasn't stopped social media from making dozens of speculations. At the same time, the lack of protection used in many encounters has caused alarm about possible transmission of sexually transmitted diseases, including human immunodeficiency virus. So far, the authorities haven't commented on this aspect of the problem either. However, many of the men involved have spoken out. After the rumor spread that a woman recognized her fiancé in the recordings and decided to call off their engagement with him, other victims, speaking anonymously, said that if their images reached their families or partners, they might even consider ending their own lives. In fact, this is exactly the concern expressed by the first person to expose this web of lies, an influencer whose face was recognized by fans on adult content websites. The man, embarrassed, said that this not only ruined his career, but also forced him to leave his hometown to avoid feeling judged and singled out. Of course, it didn't help at all that many people ended up using the case as material for various jokes. And that's how our story comes full circle. Repercussions. The hashtag referring to the case became the #1 trend on Weibo on July 8th, with over 200 million views. This caused the scandal to quickly spread beyond China's borders, inspiring memes, imitations, artificial intelligence parodies, and even fashion tutorials inspired by the character Sister Hong. Some users used artificial intelligence to insert her image on fake product packaging, toys, or posters for fictional movies. Business opportunities also emerged. Wig shops launched humorous campaigns, and guides were shared under titles like "How to Attract High-End Men," promoting the use of floral blouses, long black skirts, straight-cut wigs, and opaque face masks. Just like Xiao did. On Instagram, a filter called Sister Home Filter Challenge appeared, which recreated Yao's room with her original bed and walls, accompanied by a text in Thai that said, "Mysterious Room." See, things escalated so much that in Vietnam, a play briefly included a character based on Sister Home. Even though the actor just greeted the audience and left, the crowd burst into applause when they recognized him from the other side of the ring. Various institutions expressed their concern at how lightly society was referring to what had happened. The Nanking Center for Disease Control and Prevention began offering, for example, medical tests to people who might have been affected by sexually transmitted diseases. When asked by investigators and citing privacy laws, the center has not revealed whether Xiao is actually a carrier of the human immunodeficiency virus. But it did take the opportunity to highlight the widespread lack of responsibility shown by adult citizens when having sexual relations. Other media reported on this case, to remind us that for some time now there has been a sort of epidemic of privacy exposure, and not just in China. We're talking about an epidemic that confronts us with issues that need to be addressed before it's too late. Background. Many people connected Sister Hong's case with what happened in South Korea, where some time ago it was discovered that more than 2,000 people had been recorded without their consent in hotel rooms, using tiny cameras hidden in everyday objects like televisions, outlets, and hairdryer holders. Even though the distribution of classified content is illegal in the Asian country, images and videos captured without authorization are widely shared on websites. This mainly affects women, although as you can see there are also male victims. Spy devices are usually hidden in public bathrooms, gyms, store fitting rooms, or swimming pools, recording people while they undress or engage in private activities. The police in that country also arrested 2 men for secretly recording more than 1,600 guests in at least 30 hotels located in 10 different cities. The group behind the crime reportedly made millions in profits by selling these videos on the internet through a platform they developed themselves, which operated from a server located outside the continent. This incident reflects the seriousness of a systemic problem and has raised public alarm. In recent years alone, more than 6,000 cases of explicit material collected by hidden cameras have been reported, a number that has doubled since 2012. However, it is feared that the real number is much higher, since many victims do not report it out of fear or shame. Even the South Korean entertainment world has been tainted by this problem. The singer and host Jun Jong-jun was accused and later confessed to having filmed intimate relations without the consent of the women involved. Sharing the videos in chat groups, Jun publicly apologized to his followers and to the victims whose privacy he violated. Despite the fact that in the last 12 months more than 5,400 people were arrested for crimes related to this type of spying, less than 2% of the accused were sentenced to actual prison time. The judicial response, weak in the face of the magnitude of the problem, sparked massive protests in Seoul, where thousands of women took to the streets under the slogan, "My life is not your porn." That demonstration was one of the largest ever led by women in the country's recent history, and it demanded urgent changes in the laws, as well as harsher penalties for those who violate others' privacy. And since we're talking about that, what sentence is Sister Hong facing? Possible sentences: if her guilt were proven, Yao could face severe penalties. The production and distribution of this kind of content is, as we mentioned, illegal in China, and thus the violation of privacy rights and the exposure of personal data worsen her situation. If it is confirmed that Yao is human immunodeficiency virus positive, and it is proven that he acted with the intention to infect others, Chinese laws allow for sentences ranging from 3 to 10 years in prison, life imprisonment, or, in the most extreme cases, the death penalty, under the charge of endangering public health. The case of Sister Roja not only reveals a sophisticated operation of deception and exploitation, but also exposes a structural vulnerability at its core, in the way people interact, connect, and expose themselves in digital environments. The ease with which hundreds of men were manipulated, recorded, and then exposed on underground networks raises serious questions about consent, privacy, identity, and control. Beyond the curiosity, the way this scandal went viral on social media, the truth is that this is a deeply disturbing event, with real consequences for the victims: family breakups, public exposure, fear, and lasting psychological damage. The figure of Yao, in his ambiguity between the tragicomic and the criminal, embodies a series of contemporary tensions about gender, desire power, and digital anonymity. This case also highlights the challenges that legal systems face when dealing with crimes committed in the virtual space, where the boundary between the public and the intimate is increasingly blurred. Technology, capable of disguising faces, voices, and bodies, also allows, when used for malicious purposes, the violation of fundamental rights with alarming ease. The public's reaction, including viral humor, moral outrage, and commercial exploitation, also warrants examination. What does it say about our culture that a crime of this magnitude so quickly turns into a meme, a costume, or a filter challenge? In times of overexposure, the case of Hermana Roja serves as a warning about the real risks of inhabiting digital worlds where appearance can outweigh the truth, where a joke can mask a terrible crime, and where we never really know to what extent we are being exposed.